All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome back to another essential grammar in use lesson. Before we get started, I would like to remind you all that if you would like to work at home or if you've missed any previous lessons and would like to catch up by yourself, we recommend you buy the Essential Grammar in Use book. All right. So today we are going to be covering lesson 3. Lesson 3 covers I do, like, work, etc., present simple, and I don't, present simple, negative. Before we get started, I'd just like to mention, if you have any previous homeworks that you have not submitted yet, please do so. All of them will be in the video description. So let's go ahead and get started. A little bit of a recap. My name is Yousuf. I am from Cairo, Egypt, but I live and study in the United States of America. I will be your teacher for this course. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So here we have two pictures. The first one has two people in it. And the woman says, we read a lot. Okay. So the text under it, they have a lot of books. They read a lot. Okay. And read is the verb in this situation. He's eating an ice cream. He likes ice cream. Like would also be a verb. Okay. So we have the chart. It says they read. He likes. I work means the present simple. Okay. So I, we, you, they combined with any word like read, like, work, live, watch, do, have makes a present simple sentence. He, she, it. We change up the words a little bit. So it would be reads, likes, works, lives, watches, does, has. All right. So he works, she lives, it rains. You can see that if we have he, she, or it, there's an S in the end of the word. Okay. But if we have I, we, you, or they, like in the chart, there's no S. So I work in a shop. My brother works in a bank. Okay. You would not say something like my brother work, because that would be wrong. Lucy lives in London. Her parents live in Scotland. All right. It rains a lot in the winter. Okay. And then we have I have, and then we can say, but if we're talking about ourselves, we say I have, and then we say like the verb or like the noun. But if we're talking about someone else, we'd say he, she, or it has. Okay. So Joe has a shower every day. All right. If I was talking about myself, I would say I have a shower every day. But since we're talking about Joe, we'd say Joe has a shower. And then we just have the spelling for some of the things here. Like, for example, pass, we'd get passes. All right. All we do is add an ES to the end. Finish, we get finishes. Watch, we get watches. Study, we get studies. You see here, we take out the Y and we add an IES. Try, tries. Take out the Y, add an IES. Do, does. And go, goes. All right. So we use the present simple for things that are true in general or for things that happen sometimes or all the time. So I like big cities. Okay. Your English is good. You speak very well. Tom works very hard. He starts at 7:30 and finishes at 8 o'clock in the evening. The earth goes around the sun. We do a lot of different things in our free time. It costs a lot of money to build a hospital. And then we have the second half, always, never, often, usually, and sometimes can all be used if you add a present simple after them. So Sue always gets to work early. You wouldn't say something like Sue gets always to work. You'd say Sue always gets to work. Then we have I never eat breakfast. You would not say something like I eat never breakfast, because that just doesn't make sense. We often go away at weekends. Mark usually plays football on Sundays. And I sometimes walk to work, but not very often. All right. So here we have some exercises. So we're going to write each verb with either an S or an ES. We have to change how it looks a little bit. So number 1, we have read, and they change it to reads with an S. So number 2, think. What do we change it to? Does anyone know? You can write it in the chat. Thinks, good. All right. And this would be thinks with an S. Number 3, fly. What about that one? Flies, good. F-L-I-E-S, good. Dance. How would we change that one? Dances, good. We'd add an ES. All right. Number 5, have. How do we change that? We'd say she has, good. Number 6, finish. How do we change that? Finishes with, it would be spelled F-I-N-I-S-H-E-S. Good, good. All right. So complete these sentences about the people in the pictures. So we have 6 pictures. All right. And the first one is already done for us. So what we're doing here is we're taking each word in the box. We're going to put them in the blanks, and we'll change them up a little bit so they can make sense. So number 1, we have our example. We have a person and he has a piano. So we took play and we put it in, and it says he plays the piano. Okay. Number 2, they blank in a very big house. All right. This one would be they live in a very big house. All right. So we wouldn't really change live. We just keep it the same, and we put it in the blank. Number 3, blank a lot of fruit. She eats a lot of fruit. Good. Number 4, there's someone with a tennis racket, and he's saying tennis is my favorite sport. So what about that one? Yeah, this one would be he plays tennis. Or, well, I mean, it doesn't say he, but we could put it there anyways. So he plays tennis. Number 5, it says we love films. All right. So, and then the sentence says to the cinema a lot. So it would be we go to the cinema a lot, or they go. It depends. And then 6, 7 hours a night. So it's talking about sleep. How do you do that one? It would be he sleeps 7 hours a night. All right. Good, good. Okay, so here we're doing the same thing. We'll take in words and we'll put them in the blank. So for number 2, the shops in the city center usually blank at 9 o'clock in the morning. What about that one? Usually open, good. The city museum blank at 5 o'clock in the evening. It would be closes. All right. Tina is a teacher. She blank mathematics to young children. She teaches mathematics. Good. My job is very interesting. I blank a lot of people. This one would be, my job is very interesting. I meet a lot of people. Number 6, Peter's car is always dirty. He never blank it. He never washes it. All right, good. 7, food is expensive. It blank a lot of money. It costs a lot of money. Good. Shoes are expensive. They blank a lot of money. This one would be they cost, because it's talking about it's using they. All right. So you wouldn't say they costs, you'd say they cost. So shoes are expensive. They cost a lot of money. 9, water blank at 100 degrees Celsius. Water boils 100 degrees Celsius. Good. And the last one, 10, Laura and I are good friends. I blank her and she blank me. This one, it would be, Laura and I are good friends. I like her and she likes me. All right. So the next part, we're just taking the words and we're going to write sentences with them. So we just change the order and we can make sentences. So number 2, to the cinema, never I go. What's that one? I never go to the cinema. Good. Number 3, work, Martina, hard always. Martina always works hard. All right, good. Number 4, like chocolate children usually. This one would be children usually like chocolate. All right. Number 5, Jackie parties enjoy always. This one's Jackie always enjoys parties. Good. All right, number 6, often people's names I forget. This one would be I often forget people's names. All right. Number 7, TV, Sam watch never. What about that one? Sam never watches TV. All right. 8, usually dinner we have at 7:30. What about that one? We usually have dinner at 7:30. Good. All right. And then number 9, Kate always nice clothes wear. He always wears nice clothes. Good. Okay. And then for this, for the last part on this page, it says write sentences about yourself. Okay. And it wants you to use always, never, often, usually, or sometimes. Okay. So number 2, read in bed. What sentence could you write for that? I never read in bed. Okay. I usually read in bed. All right. I always read in bed. Okay. All right. Awesome. Awesome. Number 3, get up before 7 o'clock. What about that one? I usually get up before 7 o'clock. Okay. All right. I always get up before 7 o'clock. All right. I often get up before 7 o'clock. I never get up before 7 o'clock. All right. Good, good. Number 4, go to work or school. Okay. By bus. So what about that one? I always go to school by bus. Okay. I never go to school by bus. All right. Okay. Awesome. Now we have drink coffee in the morning. What about that one? I always drink coffee in the morning. Good. Okay. I usually drink coffee in the morning. Good. All right. I never drink coffee in the morning. Good. Okay. All right. Okay. Good. So now we're going to move on to the next part. And this part is I don't. So this is present simple negative. Okay. So we have some 2 people in this picture. It says coffee. And then the other person says, no, thanks. I don't drink coffee. So the present simple negative here is she doesn't drink coffee, or I don't drink coffee, either one. And then the next picture we have, I don't like my job. The present simple negative is I don't like my job, and it could also be he doesn't like his job. Okay. So positives are things like I work, we like, you do, they have, and he works, she likes, it does, and like he has. But negatives are things like I don't work, we don't like, you don't do, they don't have, or he doesn't work, she doesn't like, it doesn't do, or he doesn't have. Okay. So I drink coffee, but I don't drink tea. So that uses both a positive and a negative. Sue drinks tea, but she doesn't drink coffee. You don't work very hard. We don't watch TV very often. The weather is usually nice. It doesn't rain very often. Sam and Chris don't know many people. All right, so those are all examples of present simple negatives. Okay, so you got to remember that if we have the word don't, we want to use I, we, you, and they. Okay, if we have the word doesn't, we want to use something like he, she, it. Okay, so an example sentence for don't would be I don't like football. And an example sentence for doesn't would be like he doesn't like football. All right. So number 1, I don't like Fred, and Fred doesn't like me. Okay. My car doesn't use much petrol. Sometimes he is late, but it doesn't happen very often. I don't like washing the car. I don't do it very often. Sarah speaks Spanish, but she doesn't speak Italian. David doesn't do his job very well. Paula doesn't usually have breakfast. All right. So these are all also examples of present simple negatives. It's just a little bit different. So now we have the exercises. So we have a sentence, okay? And they're all positives, and we want to write the negative versions. All right. So number 2, Anna plays the piano very well. What's the negative for that? The negative would be Anna doesn't play the piano very well. Good. Number 3, they know my phone number. What would be the negative for that one? They don't know my phone number. Good. All right, number 4, we work very hard. And then we have, we don't work very hard. Good. He has a bath every day. And we'd have, he doesn't have a bath every day. Good. Number 6, you do the same thing every day. Maybe you don't do the same thing every day. Good. All right. So now we have our next one. All right. So these are questions being asked to 2 different people. Okay. So we have Ben and Sophie, and we have Kate. So number 1, classical music. Ben and Sophie like classical music, but Kate does not like classical music. So how do we say that Kate doesn't like classical music? Like what's the sentence? Kate doesn't like classical music. Good. Now, what about you? Do you like classical music? I don't like classical music. Good. Okay. All right. Number 2, we have boxing now. Okay. So Ben and Sophie don't like boxing, but Kate likes boxing. All right. So how do we write that Ben and Sophie don't? We'd say Ben and Sophie don't like boxing. All right. We use doesn't if it was one person, but since it's 2 people, we use don't. But Kate does. So what would we say for that one? Kate likes boxing. Good. All right. And then you, what do you guys think? Do you guys like boxing? All right. I like boxing. And the other thing would be I don't like boxing. Okay, good. And the last one for this part, we have horror movies. Ben and Sophie do like horror movies, and Kate doesn't. Okay. So how do we say Ben and Sophie do? you'd say Ben and Sophie like horror movies. And then how do you say that Kate doesn't? Good. You say Kate doesn't like horror movies. And then for you guys, do you guys like it? Do you guys like horror movies? Do you not? All right. So you'd say something like, I like horror movies, or I don't like horror movies. Good. Okay. So for the last part of this page, where everything's going to be written about you. Okay. So you'd say like, I never, or I often, or I don't very often, stuff like that. Okay. So number 2 is go to the theater. So what about that one? The theater is like a cinema. It's where you watch movies. I often go to the theater. All right, good. Number 3, ride a bike. What about that one? I often ride my bike. Okay, eat in restaurants. What about that one? I often eat in restaurants. Okay. And travel by train. I often travel by train. Good. And I never travel by train. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. So here we have 6 blank spaces, and we need to put in each word. Okay. So Paul has a car, but he blank it very often. But he doesn't use it very often. Good. All right. So what we want to make sure that these sentences are negative. Okay. So we want to make sure that they say that someone doesn't do something. So Paul and his friends like films, but they blank to the cinema very often. They don't go. Good. All right. Amanda is married, but she blank a ring. But she doesn't wear a ring. Okay. 5, I blank much about politics. I'm not interested in it. Yep, that one would be I don't know much about politics. Good. 6, the Regent Hotel isn't expensive. It blank much to stay here, or to stay there. It doesn't cost much. Good. And then Ed lives very near us, but we blank him very often. But we don't see him very often. Good. All right. So for this last part, we have to put the verbs in the correct form. Okay. So some of these sentences will be positive and some of them will be negative. So we'll start with 3. Where's Steve? I'm sorry, I blank. And the verb is no. So what could we put for that one? I don't know. Good. All right. Number 4. Sue is a very quiet person. She doesn't, or she blank very much. I almost gave you the answer. What about that one? She doesn't talk very much. Good. Okay. Number 5. Andy blank a lot of tea. It's his favorite drink. That one would be Andy drinks a lot of tea. All right, good. Number 6. It's not true. I blank it. It's not true. I don't believe it. Good. Number 7. That's a very beautiful picture. I blank it very much. And we have like as the verb. I like it very much. Good. And then number 8. Mark is a vegetarian. He blank meat. And we have eat. He doesn't eat meat. Good. Good job, everyone. All right. Well, that should be all for today. All right. So thank you all for coming. You all did a great job. I enjoyed having all of your input. Once again, please do not forget to submit the homeworks. They will be in the video descriptions. So thank you all for coming, and I hope you all have a great day or night.